Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy and Daryl.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Chain Out Podcast, episode 34. I'm Jeremy. And who's this good-looking guy beside me?
I'm Daryl. How are you doing, Jeremy? You're sitting. It's weird. You're in my space.
I know. I've invaded the southern part of Edmonton to join Daryl in person, and I want to do this because we never get to do this in person. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome, everyone. How are you doing, Daryl?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeremy. How are you doing? Enjoying the hot weather?
Yes, super hot in Edmonton right now. Probably like that all across Canada. Well, actually, no, it's raining out east, whatever it is. But you know what did happen this week?
What?
Second Tuesday of the month. You know what that means?
Oh, yeah. We were all looking forward to the ratings coming out.
Were we all looking forward to the ratings coming out?
Some of us were looking forward to the ratings coming out.
And how did ratings treat you, Daryl? You might as well tell the world.
Ratings were pretty good for me, Jeremy. I had a good tournament at River City, so that helped me out. I got an $8.99 final round at River City. So ratings actually gave me a 15-point jump.
15 points? That 15 is points. Envious, because I know that's hard to get. So
yeah, but I mean, in my defense or in other people's defense, I haven't done that many tournaments, so I'm not losing rounds at the moment. I think I'm still gaining those rounds. So they have maybe they have more effect on my rating. I don't know, but jump from 835 to 850.
Well, that's impressive, my friend, because the last ratings update, I think you and I were quite close together. I was at 834, you were at 835.
Yeah.
I, however, did not have as many good tournaments as you did. I was playing just under my rating, maybe a little close to it.
Sorry, I also played Hidden Gem.
Oh, you did too.
So
yeah,
I
had two tournaments.
Yeah, I had two tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had two as well, and I was kind of close around. So I ended up dropping a point. But the good thing is I dropped like 5 different ratings off of the bottom, and they were all sub 800. So I'm hoping I play a little better at Limber Open and Wally's and stuff. Maybe we'll make some changes here. But
that's your next tournament you've got coming up is?
I've got the Limber Open coming up.
Limber Open.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yours is coming up right away, actually.
Yeah. I've been trying to get out this week, trying to practice a new course. Well, not a new course. We've played it before, but it's one that I haven't played for a long time. Bailey's Disc Golf Sea Change Disc Golf Brewing Park at Bailey's Crossing.
Yeah, all of those words are in the title. I just don't know if they're in that order.
Sea Change Brewing at Bailey's Disc Golf Park, I think, or Bailey's Crossing at Sea Change Disc Golf Park.
I like it. One of those is right, and please forgive us if it's not.
Exactly. So. Yeah, but the Edmonton Open happening this weekend. I was a spotter at it last year.
Yes.
And you played in it.
And you actually caddied for me for one round as well.
I did caddy for you for one round.
That was kind of the early days of our friendship.
Yeah.
Long before the podcast was even talked about.
I think so, yeah, in that time. But yeah, that's where I'm going to be this weekend. I'm excited. It's a different course, different style of course to play that we haven't played recently, right? We played Lethbridge, very open, windy course.
Right.
River City Cup, obviously, Rundo and Hermitage we've played. I played the golf course up at Athabasca, the Hidden Gem there, Rocky Lanes Fairways. With it has its share of woods, but I'm looking forward to playing tough course out there at Bailey's.
Yeah, and we're going to hit more on that towards the end of the episode. But the other thing I wanted to do is I think we had a shout out or two we wanted to do this episode. Hey,
yeah, I just wanted to because a couple of weeks ago you went down to do the NADGT down in Calgary.
Yes,
and a listener of the show, Ian Penhaligon, came up to you and was very gracious to offer. Well, he gave them to the podcast.
Yes, he gave a sample to the podcast, but very kindly yet pointedly mentioned that Daryl might be able to use this gift more than I could.
So Ian Penhaligon is a owner-operator of Burgoyne, the Gentleman's Brand beard wax and beard oils. So he gave Jeremy some samples to pass along to me, I guess. And I've been using them, and I would they're not sponsored. We're not sponsored or anything like that. They're not a sponsor of the episode, the podcast yet. But yeah, just wanted to say thank you to Ian. I have been using them. They are very nice. If you do have a beard and you're interested in waxes and oils and things like that, definitely go check them out. Don't leave your beard greasy, which is one of the things that I look for in a beard oil. So yeah, just wanted to say thanks for those from Ian.
Well, and I know you told me, and it sounds like an advertisement, but it's not, but you had told me you're really picky about what you put in your beard. So you saying something nice about it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And is there anybody else in our looking glass tonight?
Well, if we look right across the pond, if we look far, far away, Jeremy,
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to Phil. Hey, Phil, how you doing?
Hey, buddy.
I said I would.
Thanks for watching. Why don't we tell everybody what we got going on this episode?
Yeah. You want to start?
Yeah. Well, the episode is going to be all about the larger than life Yukon territorials that took place up in Yukon, or Whitehorse, Yukon territory.
Yeah.
And we're going to start by telling you about our Canadian A tier picks and how we did with that in the fantasy picks.
Yeah. And as always, we always try and get some special guests on for you. So we're going to be speaking to Ryan Norquay, the TD for the Larger Than Life event. And he's also the owner of Yukon Disc.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about that. After that, we are lucky enough to have the FPO winner of the LTL, Kristy Lee, on the show.
Yeah. And we're also lucky enough to have the MPO winner as well. So we're speaking to Edan Badajos later on as well.
Mm-hmm. And then after the interviews, as we were mentioning there, we'll talk about the Edmonton Open tournament that's going to be happening this weekend.
Yeah. We always say it, Jeremy. We always say if we'll answer your questions if you have any questions, but get them in the chat now because everybody seems to forget by the time we get to the end of the episode. But we'll answer your questions and start thinking about a secret word or start listening to our interviews because we'll have that secret word coming up at the end as well.
And we have another thing to give away, another item. So we'll show that at the end of the show. So stay tuned. And we'll wrap up the episode with a look at what the Canadian pros are doing on the DGPT Disc Golf Pro Tour.
I like it. So, like you mentioned, we had the Larger Than Life event this weekend. And because it was Canadian A tier, that also meant that we did a Canadian Disc Golf Chain Out Podcast Fantasy League episode.
I love how long these titles are.
We will get it by the end of the episode. By the end of the year, we'll get the final. We'll nail it down.
Yeah.
But we did the Fantasy League. As always, we had a special guest on. This week, we were joined by Vice President of the Edmonton Disc Golf Association, Brock Cicchetti, came on the episode. Let's just get straight to it, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows the rules by now. We all get 3 picks. Normally we get 3 MPO, 3 FPO picks. With the field being a little bit slimmer at this event, what we decided to do was 3 MPO and we had one FPO pick each.
Yeah. And so that made the maximum. Normally 22 points is the max a person could earn. This week it was 16. Mm-hmm. And no surprise, neither of us, none of the 3 of us got the 16 points.
No, not this week. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up the actual picks right now so you can see our teams. And then you'll be able to see how well we did it as well. So we were joined by, as I say, Brock, nicknamed himself Team Flick.
Representing the listener guest picks.
Yeah. Team J-Pow, Team Shambles. I don't know if I really deserve this nickname Team Shambles, Jeremy.
It's like an antithesis right now or something
there
like
you go.
That.
Yeah. Team Shambles taking down the win with 10 points. You came second this week, at least.
I did. Well, but that's a
disclaimer.
There is an asterisk beside that.
There's a little bit of an asterisk.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just scroll through these. So with Team Shambles taking down the win, let's have a look and see what that does to the point standings. If we add those points that we gained this week to last week's totals, Team Shambles retakes the lead.
Yeah, and there
44 points for Team Shambles. Guest invite is at 39.
Yeah. Well, you know what, though? With a good round, I could catch up. If I took those 22 points.
Oh, absolutely.
I could easily be caught up.
You keep thinking about that, Jay.
I will.
So that's the point standings. As people will know, we add all the points together. Whoever has the most amount of points at the end of the season, that'll be 1 win for you.
Mm-hmm.
Then event by event, whoever wins that event will get a point in that category as well. So
if
we look at the tournament standings, Team Shambles has 3 wins.
Team J-Pow has a lot of work to do on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? We've got 11 tournaments in total now as we last checked last night.
Yeah.
So there's still 8 more opportunities. No, not 8. That'd be 7 more opportunities for me to catch up.
Starting to run out, Jeremy.
Oh, that's true.
So if somebody wins the points race and the other team member or another team member, because it could be the guest,
we need a tiebreaker.
Happens to win the tournament totals, then we need a tiebreaker. So we went to the fan vote. So we put our teams out on Instagram. It's a pinned post. We let the listeners vote on whoever they think's team is going to win. And this week, Team J-Pal took it down by 1 vote.
Yes, I did. And that was good. That 1 vote, too, might have been someone I hold near and dear to my heart, lives in my household. They made sure to put a vote in for me, and it turned out to be the tipping point.
Exactly. Yeah. The votes were tied on the actual vote. And just to put it out there for anybody, if you do look at the pinned post and you don't see the vote button, because we have had some reports that the vote button is missing, just leave your vote in the comments and it'll still count. But as long as you leave it on that post, and that's the 1 vote that won it for you. So you're tied on the fan votes now, which only comes into play if,
as a tiebreaker.
If the points in the tournament are tied as well. So
yeah. Well, and the other thing too, as everyone should remember, our fantasy picks are sponsored by BR Disc Golf, and we're able to give out some gift certificates. Thank you to Brendan for that.
Yep.
And again, if you want a chance at that, you do need to put a comment or vote on the Instagram post or the YouTube video as well. Those are your ways you can get into the draw. And it's making for a really small draw pool, so it's a good chance of winning. Yeah,
like we said, the first 2 events that we did, we just put it out to all our listeners. So anybody was available to win. Mm-hmm. The last one was won by Ian Penhaligon, funnily enough. That was not fixed. It wasn't it wasn't a setup.
Well, you can see the draw on the video. So the spinning video we had where it picked him.
Exactly. Yeah. But we also want to shout out as well Todd Hain, who also won a $10 gift card to BR.
Yeah.
And Jason Popejoy.
Yeah. So congratulations. We're giving out these prizes. Thanks to BR for helping us out with that. Remember, you can order from them and pay $5 shipping and pick up your order at Rundle Disc Golf League on Thursdays.
There you go.
That covered it all.
We got it. Thank you to Brendan.
Now, the next fantasy tournament we're going to do, we've got a bit of a space in between because we've got the Eastern Canadian Amateur National in Bourget, Ontario, which is, I looked it up, and it's just outside of Ottawa. I know you love my French pronunciations, but it is French. It's Ottawa.
If Jeremy has a chance to change, it's not
Ottawa.
It's not Bourgogne, the gentleman's brand. It's Bourgeon.
So anyways, that's happening August 16th to 18th. And we'll have another episode for you, including a new guest to pick. And we might have to have another slightly different format again, because I was checking out, and right now registration's low in some of the pro fields. But we'll work on that when we get close to it. We always come up with a solution. We want to cover those 8 tiers and make sure people are talking about them and getting to know those pros.
We won't let you down.
But speaking about 8 tiers, let's get to our first guest, Daryl.
I don't think we should, Jeremy.
Oh. Really?
Because our guest came into the lobby. So if our guest is listening, please come back to the lobby. We're not ignoring you.
No, I did see him come up.
Yeah.
So
the guest came into the lobby, but we were busy, so we wanted to bring him in. It's now 7:31. So please come back into the lobby, and we'll bring you in.
Yeah, if you want to send a message there. But
that's what I'm gonna do.
Perfect.
Gonna have a look. See.
So again, being together in the same room for the show is something that we did one other time, and that was with our live Ask Me Anything show.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great time with that, and a lot of the people who watched that one had a good time. Speaking of which, we'll probably put on another Ask Me Anything at another date, because I think when we were in the room together, we were really able to bounce off each other and answer some questions and have some fun.
Yeah.
But we've also talked about it, and we'll see. We're always talking about continuous improvement. I don't think I've used that set of words on the show in a little while. But with our continuous improvement, one of the things is maybe starting to think about possibly a studio. Thinking about it.
We are.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's where we're working towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've done things. So we've had 2 guests on the show with us when we had Matt and Andre. They were on the show at the same time as us.
Mm-hmm.
We've also had us in the same room. So the one thing we haven't done yet, which would be really cool if we get a good setup, is to have the 2 of us and the guest in the same room. Am I reaching for the stars?
You might be pushing it a bit too far now, Jeremy. We'll see.
Okay. Well, it looks like our guest has come back.
Go for it. Let's hit him with the intro.
All right. Our first guest is the tournament director for the larger-than-life Yukon Territorials. He has been a PDGA member since 2015. He lives in Whitehorse and is the owner of Yukon Disc. We are happy to have Ryan Norquay on the show. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. How are you doing?
Are you able to hear us there, Ryan? Oh, he can't hear us yet.
He can't hear us. I bet he can see our lips moving. He's wondering why we can't hear you if you can hear us.
Let's try that.
There you go. Now we can hear you. Can you hear us now?
I hear you guys.
Awesome.
I was following along. I was sitting there in the lobby, but it must have timed out or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no worries. We always try to get everyone in just a little early, just so that when we pull you in, if we run out of things to say, we can pull you in early.
Yeah, you guys were doing great there. Sorry, I should have tried to get out and get back in. I saw it kind of fail.
Not a problem. We're glad you joined now.
Well, the one thing, when we have a tournament director of a big A tier like you were in, one of the first things we want to see, because it's just a few days removed from this event, have you got a chance to catch your breath? Are you still in the throes of it? Where are you at?
We still have a lot of cleanup, a lot of acknowledgements, a lot to do. Yeah, it's definitely at least a 2-week kind of aftermath, I would say.
Wow.
2 weeks of kind of wrap up, kind of cleaning up. I think maybe you had some pop-up courses and stuff too that you had to take.
We're going to leave that in. That was definitely a huge undertaking. Well worth it. We heard great things, and I think the majority of the hard work is done. The payouts are done. The event's submitted. Trucks are returned. We have still a lot of stuff. It took a number of vehicles to haul all this stuff, and 2 side-by-sides and trailers and multiple tents. It's
wow.
It's been an endeavor to get everything done, even the recycling full load of the truck, right?
Oh yeah.
So
a lot of equipment, a lot of effort, but from everybody that taken part, has it been an overwhelming positive experience for people?
Yeah, definitely. It's been exactly the feedback that you really want to hear, for sure. It blew people away. It blew me away. It was a big undertaking, a big dream, and it was well worth it. Yeah, and
awesome.
It'll continue. We planted a great seed. We laid great foundation and set a good machine together that'll be able to take us forward. And with more bodies, volunteers, and players, will definitely be one of these landmark events.
Yeah, that's great. It's so good to hear that it exceeded your expectations.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a lot of these tournaments that happen down south here, we call them provincials, and then this is the first territorial event that's happened. So you've got the Yukon Territorials. Can you tell us a little bit about how it came to be and the origin of it? Like, how did you get to the point you are today?
It is just that, seeing what you guys are doing down there. I first learned about provincials in BC on a trip to Maui. I've been about 9 months in the sport, and I had just been through Vancouver on the way there. Got a chance to play tags, pick up a disc that I had lost while mountain biking, and to get to see Robert Burnaby Park, and it feels like they just had some sort of Halloween event. There was like the odd glow thing still left on a basket, and
Right.
it's like something must have just happened here. And there was a hanging basket, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And off to Maui we went. I didn't sleep. I learned everything I could about the sport and found the club, and didn't spend a day on the beach. I've said this many times, but it is the origin of the meeting this disc golf family and
Wow.
getting there and just being so welcomed by that community and being so welcomed in Vancouver. That tag event with 70 people, I would have been in the top 20, 13th. And I was like, I guess I know what I'm doing. Like we were just kind of free, throwing it, whatever we could figure out. The gaps were tight. The discs were pulling left, so we threw them to the right and let them fall in where they needed to fall. And
Yeah.
a lot of cheat hyzer stuff and overhands, and got to Maui and they're like, no, I throw that Mako, throw it nice and pure, just let it go, pop it up. And it wasn't just that, it was how they were organizing things, how there was young kids giving me and my family discs and frisbees. Wow. and t-shirts and all sorts of memorabilia. Started my my disc golf wardrobe there. Right. That trip. And I saw this shirt, Kamloops BC Provincials, sitting at doubles on Wednesday, the second day I was there, or second Wednesday I was there. And it was Ryan Hammerquist. And so I thought he was from Kamloops, but I go over and chat with him. He says, oh, you got up to Poli? I said, yeah, it was great. I saw my second hanging basket. I was just in Vancouver, Robert Burnaby, and have you played there? And he's like, that's my basket. And he was just hosting or like a part of setup for that Halloween event. And I haven't missed one of those. I've missed one that happened when it happened, but there's been a couple COVID years, a couple breaks, but I've hit more of those invitational Halloween events in Vancouver than any other traditional tradition tournament that I'm doing. But I keep finding these amazing gems. And so through that, I was like, oh, so we need something like this. We need provincials. We need a club. I asked so many questions, and the guys in Maui, they were, so great. Like they're just on the wall there, and then this one. And then I brought that one back there this year. And this is from the Maui Open. And that had just happened before I got there. And so they gave me t-shirts, they gave me discs. And I was like, this is too much, guys. And and they're like, no, this is the way it is. And I was like, thank you. So I tried to start the club, got the boys that we were playing with to, help out. This guy, Noel Sinclair, like magically walked up as we were having this conversation. And he's been like a Frisbee head since I don't know, probably born with one in his hand. Loves those old big discs like the Condor. And so still with his club today, and still with the club today is Ben Monkman. But Al Hill and myself and my partner at the time, we started this, what we thought was a new club, Whitehorse Disc Golf Association. And it turned out it was an old defunct club that needed to set up in order to transfer the funds to put in these baskets that they needed to. That was an upgrade from a tonal course that had been removed because of expansion of a subdivision. So the city had kind of like given some money. A bunch of businesses came together, as they do up here, and a Nordic track kind of baby Canmore course was there in '98. And I didn't know about it until I was 30 years old. I'll turn 41 this year. And it was like, I didn't understand that. I wanted to make sure that more people had this opportunity, because it's just like everybody that knows it's more than a sport. It's everything. It's anything you need it to be, right? And so I wanted to share that. I wanted to share this community that I met, and just open up these kind of niche avenues, and see this like as exactly where we can do it. We have a small population that when you can put in things correctly, you can really manage it a lot better than, you know, throwing it into a 2 million person city or something. And we've done this for so many other sports and so many other kind of retreats and stuff across the territory. We've hosted worlds for fast pitch. Just recently, they hosted like an FIS Worlds at Mount Sema.
Okay.
That is a nonprofit hill that's like community run. Board members took it, do everything. It's like that all the way across the territory. It's a lot of nonprofit community groups that are like, just pooling it together, applying for funding, and just trying to give our families or everybody opportunities. And tourism is a big thing. Like mining and tourism is really our only resource. And so I feel that we should really show what disc golf tourism should be. This is a spot where you can get out, stretch your legs, and just enjoy true nature.
And Ryan, when you did that, like with the event that you've put together, and we kind of touched base about it on the fantasy picks there, we focused on the A tier part, but you guys didn't just do an A tier, you actually made a whole week of it. Can you, because I want to make sure we only got a bit of time with you, because I know we could probably talk on that for a while, but tell us a little bit, like, what about the week? Like, you didn't just put together a tournament, you put together a whole week.
Yeah, and we've done this before, even when COVID hit, where we threw together a week-long trilogy at 7 courses, and the goal was to play as many times as you can. We've hosted trilogies every year since coming back from Maui and being given the first trilogy disc by Deegan. And it's, I always think that that's what these, tournaments need. They need to be more about the player experience and the aftermath and the community experience, and just to be able to integrate into these other sort of avenues. And we've been without music festivals and culinary festivals locally in Whitehorse since just before COVID, even, like through just new management, new teams and such. And so I thought, well, this is an opportunity. Let's bring them all back. And the seed is there. Everybody's kind of doing back end work, and we really do plan for this to be a culinary festival, music festival, art festival with disc golf on the side. I was at the farmers market for a month and a half leading up to this, sharing with people, thinking that everybody knew what it was. And I was getting like awesome conversations with people that like lived in Nanaimo or Calgary or Edmonton. I was like, oh, I play your courses. That's great. And, that's why we're doing this, is to try and connect these communities and bring these awesome players in Alaska that I met at King of the Hill, the bucket list tournament that's now gone, and that was the goal, was to bring that back. I asked Adam, the TD, if we could do King of the Hill Canada, and he said yeah. Okay. So you may have seen Adam Klein on the list. Had to pull him off because he didn't get his passport in time. He was going to be kind of silent back end assistant. So A tier, he needs to play. He's coming to the Yukon. And so, but there was a lot of that. There was a lot of silent assistance and the biggest appreciation goes to Bree, my girlfriend. Like, we couldn't have done it. Without her energy, like, it was wild what we took on. Over 500 hours between the two of us in like 7 weeks to build these new 8 holes. And we had an enormous amount of help too from Caden, also on the top six there, and Noel Sinclair. He played MP40 likely, MA40. It's like everybody that played really helped. All the Haynes guys, as soon as they got to town, they're like, "What do you need?" Grabbed all the signs, threw them all out on the course. It should have been 3 days of setup of those signs. There was 51 sponsors that came together.
Wow.
Like almost as many sponsors as players.
Right.
Well, and with all of that happening, like that just shows you what that community that you guys have built. But like I was looking, right? Like Monday you had the Burl Cup. Tuesday, Wednesday you did some flex start C tiers. Then Thursday you had a skills competition. Friday and Sunday you had the territorials. And you were talking about as well that a lot of people were coming in from out of town, and we're going to have Kristy Lee on next. She was one of those people, but also Luke Levesque came up there as well. And I reached out to him and asked him about the event. And a couple of things that he said was not only the two of them came up, but the legendary Glenn Whitlock comes out of a 5-year retirement just to come up and play the territorials, which was amazing. And then I also heard from Luke that not only did Glenn show off some freestyle and do a little bit of a freestyle show for everybody, he also taught a game called like double discord or something. I don't know what that is, but
DDC, that's just it. These Frisbee festivals used to be a thing. And DDC was just one of the many games. Long drive, disc golf, DDC, maybe even guts, which is like a Red Rover dodgeball kind of thing. And we had to scale back this year, but I was really grateful that Dave Griffiths was able to make it out Thursday, and he ran a great round the world putting competition at the Pepsi Center. Really owe a lot to the Pepsi Center for allowing us to be there. It's like you could drive a disc from hole one, in a good wind. It would probably carry down the hill all the way to the Pepsi Center. It's that close. And we were able to have the whole facility, the concession open, the beer garden open. On Sunday, we had a schnitzel truck in there. We had Ryan Collins from Alpenflow doing his DJ thing. He also did a player night at the KK, a bar that's another 5 minutes away. We had discounts at every single brewery in town, like 7 different, winter-long woodcutters, Big Bear weekend. The Whiskey Jacks and Yukon Brewing all gave us discounts and extra prizes, and like the CTPs were wild. The raffle was wild. Like we are definitely set up to do this again and again and again.
You're definitely making a good case.
I was going to say, Daryl, are you starting to want to look at flights to Whitehorse for next year?
Exactly.
And like the Air North, Fly Air North, Yukon's airline, they came to be the gold sponsor. They were first on my list, but they're first on everybody's list. And so it took some time to be able to get it locked in, and it didn't happen until just less than a month ago. And that was very stressing to hold registration open, just be getting deals. But thankful to that, like Luke was able to get an athlete deal, and we'll be able to offer athlete deals to all players that are, or even assistant staff that want to come up. We've got amazing one-way deals, $175. If, you're meeting these requirements, we're asking ahead of time, put your name on the list. Otherwise, we had 10% off. We had amazing opportunities for the connector fares. So if you're flying into Vancouver and then out, it's $99 one way to fly to the Yukon. Like we will have bigger and better deals next year. We're looking at charter flights, so look out for that to be able to put your name on the pre-reg list. Get on the get on the party plane and come
Yeah.
up for Larger Than Life next year.
Well, we saw the Oilers party plane that was going down to Florida. I think disc golfers could top that easily. Hey, Daryl.
Exactly. I think when we drove down from Edmonton to Lethbridge in my truck, I think it was like $100 in gas just to get down there.
Sure.
Like, how does that even compare?
No. Well, and it sounds too that this event was a success. You're like, it's obvious to tell. I can tell by your enthusiasm about it, and it's exciting that it'll happen next year. And that's kind of one of those things that we wanted to do to talk about it, is because a lot of people saw the posts on Facebook, but it was a new event. It was far. Maybe they hadn't been to Whitehorse, didn't know there were these deals. But now you're giving us, there is no excuse not to come up next year for such an event, because you can be there the whole week. And I've actually been up to both Whitehorse and Dawson City before, and I can tell you from my experience going up there in the summer, there isn't a better time to be up there. Maybe the winter, not so much, but in the summer, you've got the sun up. Sometimes you don't even know what time it is when you look outside, just because of how long you guys get sunlight.
It happened to Ryan Watson the other night. We all were just bushed, had to crash for naps on Monday night. He woke up at 9:30. I said good morning to him, and he's like, "Oh no, it's real." And I was like, "No, it's actually 9:30 at night. You got 12 hours before you have to pack and get to the airport." But driving force came through with pickups for us, and Total Track came through with 2 side-by-sides for us, and we were set to make it happen. All of the sponsors provided their own additional assets. The course looked so good. There were some things that just didn't quite make it on time, and now we're going to end up with all of them this week and be ready to go, for next year already.
Nice. Yeah.
Good stuff. And then also, too, we were lucky enough to have Matt and Andre from Parked Pro on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they came up and did the filming. So we're going to have a lot of good coverage, I expect, coming out from this event.
Those guys do amazing stuff, and I've met them both various times across the country, and it was a dream to be on this tour. I reached out last year to be on the Canadian tour, and asked them, would it be possible for you guys to come? And Northwest Tel Community TV made it possible for sure. They came on board as a gold sponsor, and you're going to be able to watch this on your TV, on your flip it on to the VOD across the Yukon, Northwest Territories, Northern Alberta, Northern BC. It's going to bring great experience beyond our community.
Well, and we talked about when they were on about Matt's intros that he puts together. I
It
can't
made me
wait.
cry.
That's what I said, right? I well up about it. As I spoke about that, and I told Daryl, and Daryl's a pretty tough guy here. He said, "Yeah, Jeremy, you're right. Okay, in this case, I'll agree with you." But I can't wait to see what they put together for Whitehorse because that's was that the first time they've been up there, or have they been up there before?
It's the first time, and they've both had dreams of it, and it was the first time for these guys to play DDC as well, and for me also. I'd seen it once before when Jeremy and Nate were playing at Big Sexy in Anchorage, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. We need to bring this back." And then at midnight, where Glenn's teaching all of us how to play DDC, and it's just the icing on it all.
That's awesome. So Ryan, another thing too, obviously we can see it in the background, and you had mentioned that Yukon Disc is a big part of everything there. I was looking, and I encourage everybody else to go and check out Yukon Disc's website to see everything you do, but kind of in a nutshell, tell us what Yukon Disc is so that everybody has an idea of what you guys are doing up there.
When it comes down to it, it's disc golf promotion. I heard, I read UC say something like that when I first found the sport, first found Discmania discs, first found Disc Golf Park, and I was just exactly about that. But we do full design, turnkey install of everything from the AstroTurf tee pads to graphical signage, beautiful, well-cut, sculpted fairways in amazing moss, pine, and boreal forests, and disc golf park baskets. Just beautiful, bright blue, awesome catchers.
Nice.
So that's the goal, is to put more courses in the ground to get more people playing. And those guys at Disc Golf Park and Discmania, they've been phenomenal since day one. And they, even when they're going through new changes in the company, they continue to show support and, are there to at least answer my questions. Everybody's just so great. You just ask and everybody's just awesome. Just like you guys. I was like, whoa, Chano's asking me. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd love to.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what we're all about, is spreading the love, spreading the awareness, everything to do with disc golf, across Canada, and just getting the word out there about this sport in general. You've kind of touched on it a bit there through all your the involvement that you've been mentioning about the whole event there. Is there any particular sponsors that you want to give a shout out to that stand out for you for this weekend? Maybe some volunteers as well.
Before we get there though, Ryan, what I do have to say is that we love these shows, but they cause us some trouble because we got 3 people on for 30 minutes, and you said you had 51 different sponsors.
Exactly.
So we want them to all know that they're very much loved before you open your mouth here.
Totally. How about, I've mentioned some key great ones, and the biggest being Bree and Noel and Caden and my son Ashlyn for helping out pre-tournament, and it's players and locals like Paul Getson that just helped us every day when we did design for league and tested the course. He was out there, 20 below, just the 3 of us figuring it out. We've been at Mount Sema for sort of staying with us, even though we weren't going to be there this year, but the funding's there, where baskets are on the way, and we will be at SEMA and Meadow Lakes Golf Course potentially. We've got various other courses, basket courses. Carl Pierce for hosting that Burl Cup for us. He's done that now for I think 13 years. This might be in the 12th. Sorry. Nice. It was as fun and phenomenal as it always is, but this year they had baskets too, and then he just was there every day at those C tiers that we popped up, and it was a great week because of him and his support and that Judas Creek community. It's the list is long. Follow the page for acknowledgements. Follow the Instagram Yukon Disc on Facebook, and I just can't say enough about this community locally and to everybody that I asked. It's the story is too easy. It's disc golf, right? Thank you so much to Moose Pretzel and Eden and Jai for making this trip. I met them at that first time at King of the Hill. I met Brad and Kristy possibly in PEI or maybe DC Open one year, but I've seen them 2-3 times a year across the country. I met Luke Levesque here in town. He would come to our leagues as like a 13-year-old. We had 3 kids that were under 18. Caden will turn 18 this week. Luke and Jai are both 16 years old, and they're all 3 of them, the top 6 or better. It's 2 of them got paid. And the fight at the end, the switch up, I didn't even see it coming. I'm like pulling raffle tickets and organizing CTPs, and I'm like, I want to get over there. And I didn't even get a chance to check the scores and see what happened in those last 2 holes. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to walk to the wrong guy here. And then, but it all came together. Perfect timing.
And Ryan, on top of that, when you mentioned Kristy, she had said when we had asked her if she'd come on the show, maybe she liked Chano, maybe she didn't. We'll find out. But the one thing she said is anything for my buddy Ryan. So she really cares about you, and she said, I'll come on and promote this event anytime. So
Falcons flight last year, she saw me struggling 3-putting, and she was sitting there maybe hole 8, just walked up and gave me a back massage. Like she's a gem. And I can't say enough, I cannot wait to spend more time with you guys. You guys seem super fucking quality. Excuse me, super quality. But that's just it. The passion is easy, and I saw that in Ryan Watson the first time I met him. PEI also, and I've seen him 2-3 times a year, just magically. And it was time to bring everybody here, and we set the seed right, hopefully.
Well, before we get, we're going to get ready to let you go here. But one of the things I was going to tell you, just so you know, is we've already got from this little conversation here, people in our chat asking us, when is next year's LTL? So as soon as you've got that date, make sure you get it out there, because we've already got people planning. So that's a success. And then the other thing,
World Cup's always July 1st.
Okay, so it should maybe line up in the same way.
Want to build around that, so that's going to move a little bit through the week, and maybe as it moves, we'll have more World Cup events or experiences. I know that the pros, it's so easy to get out and explore up here, right? They got down to Carcross, they went up mountains, they went out to canyons. I cannot wait to see this footage. Like, Matt hit the ground and he was like, "Okay, hi, see ya, I'm going." I heard
he's got more B-reel than he could ever do anything with.
They said they were going to burn out the cameras. Yeah.
Oh, first he was like, "I want to play 9 holes," and he played with Edan and Jai. Right as he walked up, they were hitting the back 9 at the C tier, and those boys played both C tiers, and they wished they could have been here for the unsanctioned World Cup as well. Like, they're just true experience. You should get to the Moose Pretzel, go see disc golf in Alaska. It's so much like Alberta scene, and that's what I wanted to do, is be able to connect these communities. So we're going to.
I think we need to stop interviewing people, Jeremy, because every time we interview people, we just add these courses to our bucket list.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned
some more research. I saw your excitement for the Moose Pretzel there, and it's great. I got a few T-shirts, a few hats. Edan's been so great. That's even his, like, that Gangster Branch Open disc.
Okay,
right.
There. Anyways, guys,
you mentioned
through this because
you mentioned about meeting Kristy at Falcons Flight, where we're both going down to Falcons Flight this year. We see that you're going down to Falcons Flight.
Now, I don't know if you really want me to come up and give you that back massage when you're putting, but we'll see you down there for sure. And Ryan, thank you so much for joining us and giving us this time tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much to you guys. Thank you so much to our wonderful players and sponsors and volunteers and staff. And I cannot wait to keep thanking and keep building and keep
do the same again next year.
Yeah, just enjoying it more and more.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks. Have a good night. Okay, you can hang up. There you go. Wow.
We just don't have enough time.
No,
right?
Let's get right onto it, because Kristy's in the lobby. She's waiting. So let's keep rolling.
Our next guest is the 2024 LTL FPO winner, 905 rated, from Victoria, BC, sponsored by Castaplast, won first place in FP40 at the Cascade Challenge this year, represented Team Canada in Croatia a few years back, and is representing Canada in Australia this year. Let's welcome Kristy Lee to the show.
Go.
Hey, Kristy.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
Oh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
So you made your way back to Victoria now, I'm going to guess, after being up in Whitehorse for a little while there?
Yeah, I came back Monday morning. Been working since.
Okay, yeah, this sounds like maybe the time in Whitehorse is missed already just by the sound of that, hey?
Yeah, I wish I had a couple more days just to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Have some downtime.
Well, we were looking there too, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, if you look at the trip from Victoria up to Whitehorse, it's 2,500 kilometers, 29 hours drive. Luckily, we can fly there. I'm hoping that's what you did. You had maybe the little, what is it, about a 3-4 hour flight to get there and back, or?
Yeah, I went from Vancouver, so it was 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Beautiful ride up. It's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, well, we just had Ryan on, and he was telling us, like, we just realized we do these shows, these A-tier shows, and we talk to the tournament director, and we try to talk to the FPO winner and then also the MPO winner. But we're realizing very quickly here, Daryl, that we just don't have enough time because Ryan had so much wonderful stuff to say, and we know you're going to have the same thing too. So could you tell us a little bit about, just in general, your experience of being at the Larger Than Life this year?
Ryan put on a really good show. Started off with the players party sign in, and inviting Glenn Whitlock was just like genius because we were out freestyling. We were like learning all his moves for free. He didn't even charge us. So
Ooh.
and yeah, a few hours on the field with Glenn. There was some putting competitions for free that you get prizes for. So it was really fun. Lots of like kids were out there playing freestyle, learning the game. So that was awesome. And then I think on the last night we were playing that DDC till like way too late. I had an early flight the next day, but I think I played until I had to jump on the plane.
Nice.
What I'm guessing, Jeremy, is we really need to learn how to play this DDC because everybody's raving about this DDC.
Yeah. Do you think you could? We saw your video that you posted where it looked like maybe it was just at dusk, but it was midnight and you were still playing. Can you give us a little synopsis of what that game is and how it works?
I believe it's double disc court. So there's two, you get partners on each side of the court. And I think the object is just to land like both discs in the opponent's court. If you can get them both in the ground, staying in there, then you'll get like 2 points. And if not, there could be like a half point involved or one each. And yeah, if a person throws it out of the court, then you're going to get a point. So, and it's just really fast. You want to just like release the disc and get both discs into your opponent's court.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Seems interesting. Yeah. It definitely looked good from your video that we watched there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we'd reached out to Luke Levesque and asked him a little bit about his experience. And that was one of the things that's a big lasting memory for him, was playing that game. And then he had said, like you said, you played it right till you were going to leave. He said you guys got kicked off a field and then that didn't stop you. So you went and found another field to go play on?
Yeah. Started playing for money. We got carried away.
That's awesome. Well, on top of that, there was the big A-tier tournament as well, and we want to congratulate you on winning the FPO there. It was a smaller field, of course, but that doesn't matter. It's an A-tier, and you did your best, and you got the title, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one of the things that, as we said, is we've been doing these A-tier recaps, and there's a couple of things that we've noticed. We've done the Foxwood Open, the Tournament Capital Open, the BC Open, and now we're doing the LTL. And out of those 4 events, there have been 4 unique FPO winners: Chantal Badinsky, Julie Mowens, Sophia Donica, and now Kristy Lee. And what's even more interesting about that in my mind is that 3 of those 4 are all from Victoria, Vancouver Island. So what is it about the area there that is making such good disc golfers?
Good question. It's just the community, I guess. Everyone supporting the women and realizing how valuable we are to our club. So whenever we have host women's nights, and whenever we're looking for volunteers or donations towards the women, we see lots of guys stepping up for us. So I think that's like a big plus.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Maybe it's water. I don't know. Maybe it's the tap water.
Exactly. That's what we were thinking.
The fresh ocean air or something.
Yeah.
I'll never tell you.
I think it was Julie or I forget who we interviewed that said that there aren't actually that many courses on the island to play.
That would have been Gabby.
It was Gabby. Yeah, that's right. Gabby said that there aren't that many courses on the island to play. So how you're practicing and how you're getting so good at disc golf in restricted situations, I don't know, but obviously whatever you're doing, maybe it is the water. It must be the water. Even somebody in the chat, Sonia, is saying she's from the island as well, so she's saying it's the water.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's not just the females. The males are also like top class on the island too. Usually when we go to tournaments, we're taking home a lot of mainland stuff. And I think it's because we're so deprived of a course that we have to try extra hard to play our disc golf, and we get extra creative and maybe even like a stronger sense of community because we do some wacky stuff out here, like playing, like I started playing in parking lots, like vacant parking lots, aiming at lampposts at like 2 a.m. Like that's like the dedication, I guess, that we're talking about on the island to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way to beat your disc in, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're like, oh, this is a little overstable. Let's balance it out, or whatever the case is. Hit a lamppost.
Curb it up a bit.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, not only have you been playing in parking lots and you guys play in fields, you got St. Mary's, but we'd heard as well that you've actually built kind of a private course for yourself as well. Is that a case as well?
Yeah, that's like my pride and joy right now. I don't know if you could see, this is like a painting of one of the holes.
Wow.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And I like enjoy spending all my time up there, really working on it.
And how long have you been working on that course?
Since COVID.
Okay.
I'd say since the boom of all the players, and I just wasn't able to like get out and play. Like you need to have a tee time, and it was tough.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned playing till midnight and then having to jump on the plane to come home the very next day. Were you able to get up there early enough to take in some of the extra festivities that Ryan had mentioned that he'd put on? Obviously, we had the Burl Cup and the other C tiers and things like that.
I showed up on Wednesday evening, and I think there was a C tier going on that I could have jumped into, but actually my boyfriend Brad, he came in later on that night, so I kind of just waited at the airport for him. So Wednesday was a bit of a wash, and then Thursday I wanted to get out on the course that I was going to be playing the whole weekend, so that's what I did Thursday. And just moving into Ryan's, getting to know, like there was like a house full of people, so basically I just chilled out, got to know everyone, played like one round, and then waited for my tee time on Friday. But it was really neat. Whitehorse, like everything's within 5 minutes. So from the airport to Ryan's to the course, it's like a 5-minute drive. So it was like boom, boom, boom.
Nice.
That's nice.
Well, and from being where you're located, just having the ferry involved, and then once you get off the ferry and you're on the mainland and you're in the heart of all that Vancouver bustle, nothing's 5 minutes in that way, right? So
no, just to get to my course, I have to drive an hour on the island. So a 5-minute drive, I was like, wow, this is awesome. I could get used to this.
So did you get home and were you already looking at real estate up there and seeing what's for sale? And
there was a little bit of mosquitoes, I won't lie, but other than that, yeah, I could do it.
No, that's awesome. And also too, and I think we were talking about it, the mosquitoes might be one detractor, but at this time of year, all the light, it's just as beautiful up there. People think as soon as you cross the border into the territories, you're in snow and ice. Even Canadians can sometimes think that, but it's not like that. It's very much similar to Edmonton or anywhere else in the summer.
Well, I went into like Emerald Lake and I went into the river, and I was surprised at how warm the water is. It's actually like warmer there right now than it is here. And I think it's because it's getting that 24 hours of sunlight.
Yeah.
So like it's the best time to go is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, one thing too, Kristy, what we wanted to do is we're going to have that Park Pro coverage come out that Matt and Andre had recorded. But until then, we wanted to just talk about it with someone who's actually been there and get an idea of what the course was like, maybe talk a little bit about how your rounds went and how you felt about them. So if we can, we've got a little bit of a breakdown and wanted to jump into that with you.
Sure. Oh man, I'd love to get back on that course and try to shoot a good round. It's like punishing, like to put together like 18 good holes. Like, I mean, there's like par fives that are winding through the woods and like the elevation. I mean, there's fair lines, but to be able to hit all those fair lines, it's a tough task. So once you get into some trouble, it kind of, you got to get creative to get out. And all of a sudden you're taking a 7. And I mean, even the pro men were taking big scores on some of these holes. But I mean, fair lines and like tight wooded course is what I love to play. So definitely my kind of course.
Yeah. And so if we look at that, we take a look at this course, and the one thing we've realized, again, starting to follow these A tiers, and people have told us it's not on purpose, but it always seems like hole 1 tends to be a difficult hole. And it looked like, as we looked through the scores for, as you said, both the FPO and the MPO, the hole one at this course, tell us about it. What was it doing to take strokes off of everybody?
I don't know, maybe a little bit of nerves. Like, it's a tight line. Like, you just, I don't know. And it's risk reward. Like, I ended up like taking big numbers the first 2 days, trying to get too far. So I was like, oh, I better disc down, take my medicine. And then it's much easier when you decide to play smart through some of the holes. So I think, I don't know, don't make it a drive competition on a really tight hole and you'll do all right.
So is that what the main thing was with that one? Was it just a straight, long, wooded, tight hole, or what was the design of that hole?
No, it wasn't straight. Like, from the tee, you're going to have to bend your disc at about like 80 to 100 feet. Then there's like a tight right turn. And then there's like another like 300-foot straight fairway after that. But it's also going uphill and then slightly turning to the right at the end. It's just like, it's like a lightning bolt zigzag of medicine that you just got to take. But I mean, in warm up, I was like lacing these drives like all the way to circle 2. But to do that, like, first shot in the tournament is something else. So I would just disc down and hope for a 4 or 3.
Right. Well, and looking at that too, you describe all of that design, and I'm thinking par 4, par 5, right, Daryl?
Yeah,
and we're
exactly.
looking on here, and they had that as a par 3. You had to try and make it through that for a par 3.
It can be done.
Yeah, I guess so. That's the part I guess I'm nervous about when we wouldn't be playing the pro layout, so we might get a little bit. Maybe they put us up at the corner to tee off or something like that. So when we were looking at that, you ended up with that first round shot of 69. It was a plus 10, but it's still an 898 rated round, so it's a high rated round there. And as you went through, you had a couple birdies I was seeing, good string of pars going on there. And then it was you and Bree playing. And we heard about Bree there when we were talking to Ryan. And it was just kind of, you were the 2 FPO competitors that came into that round. What did you guys do? It wasn't just 2 of you on the card. Did you have some other ladies on the card from another division, or what did they do for that?
They put us with the MasterCard. So we got to play with Glenn Whitlock the first day.
Wow.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like all smiles. We got to watch some really crazy moves. I can't forget the name. I'll have to get back to you the name of the putt that he did. It was just awesome. It was like a jump putt. Oh. Anyways, we played with the Masters, and then we got put with one of the MPOs for the day 2 and 3. So there was a group of 3, and then we had the last guy on the MPO, which was a good time too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. And then, we looked, and we'll just kind of zip through this part of it, but you come into round 2 and then you do a plus 9. So now you improve from the day before, and now you're 907 rated, got 3 birdies, and things are looking pretty good.
I chained out of the basket on hole 9 too, in front of Ryan. He came over and put a sign that said "Run it," and I was telling this guy, I'm going to just lay up for a birdie. And then Ryan put a sign that said "Run it." And I was like, okay. And I chained out, hit the pole. Like, I thought it was in. So everybody was throwing leaves at me and stickers.
Well, we mention a lot of our chain outs, which happen a lot of times, and part of what maybe the podcast is named after as well.
Exactly.
So
yeah, you're in good company.
It happened to me.
Well, and then the other thing too is if we go to your round 3, this time you figured it out on hole 1. Now it really wasn't an issue. After those first 2, it kind of bit you for a bunch of strokes, and I think it might have taken you for 1 stroke instead of like 2 or 3 that time. So when you did that on that 3rd day, just getting that hole and not having it beat you up, did that set you up for the good round that you ended up having?
Not really. I think the decision was because Park Pro is behind me, and my first 2 shots, the first 2 days at it, I was using my driver, and I mean, it was beautiful when it works, but when it doesn't, so I just decided to take a mid-range and just play safe and go from there. And I guess I kind of set my tone, because I don't think I got any birdies the 3rd round. I just eliminated a lot of really bad play.
Yeah, and
well, actually, you birdied hole 6.
Oh, awesome. Must be a long one because I don't think it was a 2.
Yeah.
No, it was a 3 on a par 4. Yeah, 350 par 4. Yeah.
Well, and that's funny. We try to be a little prepared with these because what we found as well too, Kristy, is when we start to talk to players, there's some players who can remember every single hole and every single throw, and not only their own, but everybody else's. And then there's other times, and I think I kind of fall into this batch as well, where it's like, yeah, maybe if you tell me, I might remember a little bit more of what I did on that hole. So yeah,
we either know the round went good or the round went bad.
Yeah, don't ask us about too many of the details there. So that's why we'll always have a little bit there. But with that one there, then you finished +7 and you were 924 rated for that final round. And I think, I think we could all agree on this, is I find is a day like that even is when you start out and you get better every single round, then I can come out of that tournament, I'm feeling pretty good no matter what happened. But I had one recently where it was bad, it was worse, and then I was very glad that I got a little bit better on the last one, because it's always looking for that good thing. We always love to play disc golf, but you really look for those good rounds to bring you back that next one. And it looks like you did that. Sorry with this long rambling question. Hey, Daryl, is that you went better, better, better. So good job on that.
Thank you.
So then the other question we wanted to ask you is, now that you are the first Yukon Territorials winner, is this something that you're going to go back up and defend next year, are you thinking, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, if the schedule allows, I'm definitely going to go back. I'm already missing it. Like, the people are awesome. The course is great. It's beautiful there. Like Ryan said, like, we went to the world's smallest desert. The lake there is beautiful. Like, I want to go back.
Yeah, everything is good apart from the mosquitoes. I think we can all agree at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, and while we have you on too, one of the things we like to do with players on is to shout out their sponsors. And you're currently sponsored by Castaplast. And how long have you been sponsored by them?
I think it's since 2015 I've been sponsored.
Wow.
Okay. That's a good sponsorship for sure. And do you have any other sponsors as well that you like to shout out when we give you an opportunity like this one?
No other sponsors. Just shout out to, I guess, I'll shout out to Dan Walker for making awesome baskets. That, like, I have a mint basket on my course that he gave me, and I'm always getting good deals from him, or just giving me baskets for my course. He supports like a lot of events. He also supported Ryan's event. I know he sent up like a box full of discs for Ryan. So shout out to Dan Walker, always growing the sport. And also shout out to my buddy Jer Cunnington, who works on my course like tirelessly, like as much as I work on the course. So thanks to him and my boyfriend Brad for helping me out there too.
Nice.
Love you.
On that Castaplast side, we both are big fans of those discs. We got a lot of discs like we like. Now, you were saying with your drivers now, what was your most reliable disc for you in the Castaplast lineup there on the weekend?
For driver, it's the Felk, but I throw my Svei like nonstop. I love the flip that I get with it. Mm-hmm. It goes almost as far as my Felk, but if I have to make those really weird lines like hole 1, where you have to like go straight and then flip it off to the right, the Svei is just my favorite disc.
Nice.
And then Rico too. Love putting with my Rico and my upshots with my Rico, and and the Felk.
Yeah, that's a solid setup. The Felk, the Svea, and the Rico.
So I have to ask you, do you bag a berg?
I do bag a berg, but in those tight wooded courses where there isn't a whole lot of wind, don't need it a whole lot. I could just use a Rico for any berg shot like that. But for golf courses, I'm bringing a berg for sure.
Yeah, I think we spoke to Julie last week, and she said she amazed me that she didn't even bag a berg. She doesn't hardly throw the berg. So yeah.
Whereas for us, we both bag bergs. He bags a lot more than I do, but I've also been fond of a good forehand roller shot with the berg as well.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, it feels like once it gets on that edge, it's almost like a tire going down the fairway. So
I think that just talks more to our level, is that we don't have the shots that you have, so we have to improvise. So if a Berg roller works, if it gets us out of that situation, then that's what we do.
Yeah.
I like light lots or like Felk for rollers, but I don't break that out often. But
Yeah.
on a field for practicing, yeah, I'll throw a Felk roller or a lots roller, even better.
Nice.
Have you tried the new
The Nord or?
no, the Alva?
Yeah. Yeah, I have one. It's like 173, the mint one, and it's a
Right.
little heavy for me, but I can get it to kind of go straight.
Right.
Okay.
I hear a lot of good things about it. I know a player that we play with sometimes, Travis Bouchard. He I think he got the first run Alva, and he really likes it. So I've heard a lot of good things about it. I haven't had a chance to throw one yet, but
Yeah, and I
I'm
almost
looking
want
forward
to.
for it.
I almost want to say with this gentleman that we're talking about here, Kristy, he's a big Casta fan as well. I think he has a cart full of Bergs, and then he has a cart full of everything else, is what it feels like, or at least he could make one.
Yeah.
So we were looking at the other events that you have coming up this year. So you got the South Sound Classic happening in Washington. You're going to Falcons Flight, Canadian Nationals, and then you're hitting the Aussie Open with Team Canada. And when we had Craig Sheether on last week, he was super excited about everyone's involvement and that you guys are all committing to the expense and everything to be heading down to Australia. And he had said that there's going to be some different fundraising efforts. Do you have anything going on right now, if when we're talking about it, that you're doing to fundraise for the trip?
Nothing personally, like I don't have like a Kristy disc for Australia, but yeah, anything that Team Canada's putting out is pretty much it for me. I might do like a tournament at my course coming up, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, that's something people can watch for sure. And are you excited? How excited are you? I shouldn't say are you. That's the obvious question. You got to be excited to go to Australia, but how excited is it starting? I know it's still probably if it's November, so it's still a few months away, but are you planning and getting ready?
I still have to book my plane ticket, but that's like number one on my list of things to do. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Australia, it sounds pretty hot for me. Like I wish I was going somewhere else personally. Like, I don't know. There's too many things that'll kill you there.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'd rather go back to the Yukon and play.
Well, that's it. Maybe we can get here. Well, let's plant the seed now. Maybe WIFDIF can then start to think about looking at the Yukon for an event and bring everybody up there.
Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And now, before we get ready to let you go, Kristy, was there anything else that you wanted to mention or shout out?
No, I think, well, shout out to Ryan for having the tournament, and also to Bree for playing with me and getting the course like looking top notch. I know she worked her butt off. Like, I don't even know how she could even throw after all the work that she did, let alone, like come in, play with me for 3 rounds. So that's, awesome job on her part and Ryan's. And that's the only shout out, really.
Nice. Yeah. Give them a bit of a round of applause there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we were mentioning to Ryan, he's going to be down at Falcons Flight. The two of us are going to be down at Falcons Flight. So we look forward to meeting you there. I did offer to maybe give Ryan the back massage when he's putting, but I don't think he was sold on that. I think maybe that's reserved for other people or something. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, we look forward to seeing you down there and meeting you in person.
Awesome. I'll see you guys there.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks, Kristy.
Bye.
Just hit the red hang up button.
Try.
Yeah, that's okay. And then in last resort, as we always say, is just close the whole app.
There you go. Okay, so we got our third guest waiting in the lobby, Jeremy.
Okay, well, our next guest is the 2024 Larger Than Life MPO winner. He's been a PDGA member since 2007. My research says he also goes by the nickname Moose Pretzel. We're going to have to find out if I'm right and what is that all about. And coming to us all the way from Homer, Alaska, let's welcome Edan Badajos to the show. Hey, Edan.
Howdy. How's it going, gentlemen?
Doing
Good.
fantastic. How are you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Happy to be here.
Great.
Well, we had Ryan on a little earlier there, Eden, and we got to see some discs in the background, and some of them were actually from your tournaments and events. And now looking at this, like, how high does that wall go? And look at it; it looks like it's discs forever behind you.
It is. It's discs forever. It's the best garage ever.
Do you have any discs in your bag, or do they all just go on the wall?
Yeah, I only keep a few in the bag to throw.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad you were able to join us. And when we did reach out to you, you were driving back from Whitehorse back to Homer, back to Alaska. And being Canadian, like, I really thought I knew my geography. I've even been up north in that. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, you know, Yukon, Alaska, side by side, probably just a quick little jaunt down the road. And then I take a look and we're almost like 17 hours away by car. Is that right?
Yeah, it was pretty much, 16 to 17 hours. We took it in 2 days. We stopped and played a course on the way up, and then we camped near the border, and then we made it onto Whitehorse the second day.
Wow. So, and did you go out for the entire event? Did you go out right from the Monday through to the following Sunday, or what time, when did you guys get out to Whitehorse?
We did. We left Homer on Sunday, and then we arrived in Whitehorse Monday evening. So we missed the first Burl Cup event, but we got in the rest of the weekly events.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a full fun-packed week that Ryan put on up there. So you had lots of stuff to do and lots of people to meet and lots of things to get done with Ryan up there.
Definitely, yes. It was a fun-filled week, action-packed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we have to start by congratulating you on being the winner of the larger than life first Yukon Territorials this past weekend. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. I'm really still thrilled with the victory. So really, I'm glowing.
Well, and last week we were talking about the BC Open, and we had Chandler Fry on the show, and he had a big third round comeback to take that win. And now we don't get to see this footage right away. We will at a later point when it comes out on the Parked Pro side. But looking at the scorecards, it looks like maybe you had a similar experience as Chandler, because you came back in the third round as well. So we want to kind of maybe go through the tournament with you, starting with round one and getting to that big finish right from your own memory of how it turned out. So could you start us out maybe a little bit at round one and tell us how it went?
Sure. First off, shout out to Chandler. He and I had a battle on my own private course here, and I was leading the whole time, and he came back and got me in that one. And so, some of that experience came in handy on this one. But it was a really challenging course. Like, if you look at the scores, I won the tournament and I finished over par, 1 over par. So the course was technical and long, and a lot of tight lines. And the first round, Luke jumped out to a 5-stroke lead. He had a great round. He threw great, and I was kind of just trying to hang around and just keep playing my game and be patient. I felt like the breaks were kind of going his way early and not really my way, but I was just hoping that it was going to come around eventually, and it did. So yeah, it was a fun one. I don't know. Do you want me to go kind of?
Well, we'll take you along with you. We've got some notes for us too. And we looked at that and we said, when we were talking to Kristy Lee there, it looked like that first hole was a bit of a bear. And by some of the scores that we were seeing on it, we would have thought it was a par 4 or a par 5 because it had some big numbers, but we were seeing that it was just a really tight par 3 is kind of what it was. Is that what you were experiencing as well?
Yeah, I mean, my son and I threw it a bunch of times in practice and during the tournament, and it was like a maybe 1 in 5 to hit that tunnel and get down all the way to where you would maybe even have a jump putt at the basket. So, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to 3 it all 3 rounds. I got a 4, so it's obviously a tough hole. Yes,
yeah,
it was kind of an S-shaped hallway, and it had a little choke point in the middle that was only maybe about 8 feet wide. So yeah, tight.
Anytime they make it tight at distance, right? If it's tight off the tee, you can usually get it right through. But when you've got to get your disc there over time. That just makes it so much harder. But it seemed like once you got through that one, though, you were kind of just cruising along there. You had the bunch of birdies, a couple bogeys. It looked like a pretty decent round. As you said, it was just maybe the brakes were going for Luke, and he got that lead there after that first round.
I did take a triple bogey on hole 16 that first round. And the other thing about this course is it's really hard finishing. Like 15, 16, 17, 18 are really difficult holes.
Okay.
And that hole 16 is a combined hole where they put like I think the original hole 7 and hole 8 together into one hole. And so it has like an initial fairway, and then it kind of jogs over, and then it has a secondary fairway. But if you hit trees early, you can kick off into just a really tight jail area, and it's just hard to even get back to the fairway. And so first round, I took a 7 on that hole. Yeah. And people took big numbers on it all weekend.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. From looking at the scorecards from everybody, there was only 2 pars on that on 16 in that first round. So it looks like everybody was struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to be really patient on that hole in the final round and take my medicine because of what I learned in the first round.
Right. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's good. We talk sometimes about having a short memory, like a goldfish type thing, and forgetting it right away. But in a case like that, you maybe want to have a little bit of that memory just so that you don't repeat the same mistakes every round, right?
Yeah. And so we went to the second round, and the second round was I just kept getting pars that whole round. I think I got 1 birdie and 2 bogeys or something like that, or 3 bogeys. It was a par for me. And Luke was kind of throwing the same game, but he was a little bit off. He was hitting like some trees on his grenade shots, and and he was getting some kicks here and there. So we both kind of just played kind of a mediocre round, and I think he picked up 1 stroke on me. He shot a 1 over, shot a 2 over.
Yeah,
but
you remembered it exactly right.
Mm-hmm. And then luckily, my son had a good second round, and so he bumped up onto the lead card. So we were able to see him on the final round of coverage. So
that's what we noticed. Yeah, like Jai shot so that +1 round that Luke shot, that was the hot round, and Jai shot it as well. So that was what was the best one on that second day. And from what I heard is that your son's got some pretty big shots and some interesting ones. Does he have some grenades and stuff he likes to throw?
He doesn't have the grenade, but he's got a big forehand and a big backhand. Okay. And and he can throw a lot of different lines with both shots. So yeah, he's definitely will outdistance me from either side, forehand or backhand.
And I think it was Ryan that was telling us that he was only your son is only 16 years old. Is that right?
That's right. Both Luke and Jai are 16 years old. So I got to share the podium with 2 16-year-olds, and I'm 47. So I'm like, get another 16-year-old, and then maybe you'll reach my age.
So it's awesome for the sport, though, right? To see these young kids coming through, making podiums, making waves, making names for themselves in the sport. It's a great thing for the future of Canadian disco for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was rooting for my son and Luke the whole time. I mean, they're great kids, and they have a lot of talent, and it's really fun to just watch them rip the disc. Yeah, it's really fun.
So now I have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old in my family. They don't play as much disc golf. They come out and humor me once in a while. But when you got on to the third round and you guys started, I know my kids like to jab at me. So did you have 2 16-year-olds trying to poke at Eden for the start of that round, or how was that going?
Yeah, they were giving me the business a little bit, but we were all, good sportsmen, friendly competitors. Everyone was, we were all trying to just do our best. So it was good sportsmanship all around.
Well, what I could tell you too, Eden, is that's another tie to the BC Open last week, because when we talked to Chandler, it was Chandler and Scott Withers on the lead card on the final day, and then it was Axel and Colin, I believe it was. Yep. And when Scott and Chandler were talking about it, they figured they had been playing disc golf for as long as those kids were alive, pretty much since before they were born. And they said, okay, so it was the 2 older guys and the 2 younger guys. And they said they had a really good time having that experience as well.
Yeah, we had the same dynamic on our card, and it was funny because the third and fourth place battle was between one of the local white horse guys who's closer to my age, and then him and Jai were battling out for third. So,
Right.
yeah, it was a battle of the ages.
So when you got into that round and you're coming in and you're 6 strokes behind Luke, starting that one off, are you thinking, hey, I got a chance of this? What's your kind of the way from a pro side of it? Are you mentally approaching it? Are you like, I'll just play my game and see what happens? Or no, I can clean up 6 strokes. And did you have a plan for that?
Well, I have made some big comebacks in my career in the past. So, I'm never going to give up on myself. I'm always going to go out there and try and do my best all the way till the end. That's the type of player I am.
Yeah.
And so that's my mentality going in is, I'm just going to go out there and play as best as I can. And, if I have an opportunity, I'm going to try and make the most of it. We were playing a pretty similar game for the first, like maybe 2/3 of that round. The whole card was kind of really close in scores. And then I was able to pull out a birdie and Luke took a bogey. I think it was on hole 13, one of the par 4s there on the backside. And I had finally scraped like within 3 strokes, kind of striking distance finally. And I was getting happy. And then the very next hole, I hit a tree, kick off into the woods, take a bogey. He parks it with a forehand. And I'm like, okay, my 2 strokes I just lost. And so it's back to 5, and there's, I think, 5 or 6 holes to go. And so I was like kind of thinking that it might be a little too late. But the next hole, I didn't have a very good drive. He threw his disc all the way down there, and he had a chance to make a putt and take a birdie, and he missed that putt. And I, upshotted, so we both took pars there. And so I'm like, okay, nothing lost. We're still in it. And then the very next hole, like I hit the first tree on a really crappy forehand, and he threw a grenade like all the way down there. And then I couldn't get up and down. My upshot got hit. I chained out my putt, but then he ended up hitting a tree on his upshot. And so we both bogeyed that one. And so I'm like, okay, again, nothing lost. It's 5 holes or 5 strokes. And then we came to that hole 16, which is just a beast. And it's a hallway off the tee. And he, hit, early on that hallway and kicked off into the trees. And it took him 2 strokes just to get back to the fairway. And then, and then he still had to face a wall of trees to navigate through. And so, he ended up taking a double bogey there. And I made the first initial hallway, but I didn't have a clear shot on my second one. And so I did end up doing like a 35, 40 foot jump putt over to the next fairway, just so I could have a tunnel into the basket there.
Right.
And then I did. I hit the tunnel on my third shot, and I had kind of an obstructed putt, but I made it. And so I was able to scrape out a par. And so I got 2 back on him there. And then I'm like, okay. So
at that point there, when you were able to gain 2 strokes back on him, like obviously you backed yourself all the way through the tournament and the round there. But when you take 2 strokes back on him, is that kind of like, was that like a turning point for you mentally, maybe on the round?
For sure. He struggled through that hole, and I executed. And so, I felt like I had the momentum at that point.
Yeah.
And we came to the next tee pad, and the very next hole is another, it's a really tight tunnel that you have to get out of initially before you open it up. And I disced down to a mid-range, and I threw up halfway up the hole to where the am pad is, just to have an open shot on my second. And then he again hit initially trees right off the bat and kicked into the woods. It took him another 2 shots to get all the way back to the opening where I was at. So again, he took a triple on that one, and I took a double, but that was a really hard hole. A 3 was a really good score on that. And so I took a 4, he took a 6, and that was another 2 strokes.
Well, and then you get into that hole 18 now, and he's got 1 stroke on you, if I'm doing my math right, when you guys go into that one. And then, so now the pressure's really got to be on for both of you, because he's coming off a couple bad holes that he probably wants to take back, but he knows if he can just keep up with you, he's got the win. And you've got to at least tie him to push it to a playoff, which you probably don't want to do at that point anyways. So what are you thinking there? Well,
the funny thing is that I I didn't have cell service the whole time, so I couldn't check scores. And so I knew we were close, right? And I had a putt on that hole 17, and I missed the putt. I thought I made it, but it got lifted and it hit the band. And so I missed that putt. And then after the hole, Luke comes up to me and it's like, that putt was to tie it, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't know that actually, but thanks for telling me. So I'm like, okay, I'm only down 1 on the last hole. And so I had the box, and like the last hole was like a 500-foot downhill, like across this kind of gully smash. And I just like got out my most stable driver and I just threw it as hard as I could, like downhill on hyzer. I'm just like, give it everything you got. And at first it looked like it was too low, but it kind of rode out. And then there's a lot of like trees and bushes down by the basket. So it comes in down there. And I didn't really know how close it was, but everyone who was down there was watching, was cheering. So I felt like I was at least like in some sort of putting range.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, and then Luke, he threw the same type of shot, but instead of keeping it on hyzer, he flattened it out a little bit so it faded off right, and he found some trees over there. And he had a tough lie. He was like in the middle of a clump of trees, so he had to throw kind of like a hammer toss that didn't make it close to the basket.
Right.
And then you had, what were you looking at for a putt there once you had landed? How far out were you?
Well, yeah, so after he hammer tossed out to about 70, then he just had to upshot because he still didn't even have a putt. And so he came to about 25 or 20 feet out on his third shot. And then we walk up, and then he's still out. Like, I look at my disc, I'm like 15 feet away. I'm parked. And so, he still had to make that putt. And then I just, like, basically dropped in a 15-footer for the win. So, yeah. I was so happy when I walked up on the green and saw my disc so close to the basket.
Yeah, that's what you want to do when you need to pull it out. When you need to pull out the birdie, being 15 feet from the basket on the last hole.
Yeah,
just takes all that weight off your shoulders at that point.
Well, and Edan, looking at, you've played a lot of events over the years and stuff, and you've had a number of wins as well. Where does this win rank for you with that kind of finish? Is that one of your top wins now, or where is it in your top 10? Where does it fit?
Oh, yeah, definitely one of the top wins of my career. I mean, this is my first A-tier victory in MPO division. I've won a few in Pro 40, but not in MPO, so that's big. And, I mean, the first ever Yukon Territorial, so that's huge. And, and then just to come back in the manner that I did, that was, definitely one of the highlights of my career, for sure.
Nice.
And it's all covered on Park Pro, so you can get to watch it back as many times as you like.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Edan, if I really like the trend that's happening, though, is because when I was, when we're following the A tiers here, we have 4 of them that we've done so far, and we've got another 7 going on. Now, Thomas Gilbert won the first 2, and those were repeat and 3-peat wins for him. So we were like, as a Canadian disc golf station or podcast, we were pretty excited. But then Chandler came up from Washington and took a Canadian A tier, and now you've come over from Alaska and taken a Canadian A tier. But it seems like you are a super nice guy, so I think we're going to do a pass on this one, Daryl?
Well, thanks, guys. Thank you. Yeah, I know we as Alaskans, we sometimes get a little upset when people from down south come to our Alaska tournaments and win them, but it's all in good fun.
Yeah, I was going to say Alaska is as much Canada as it is America too, I think, at this point, with as close as you guys are to us, right? So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, the one thing too, I did reach out to Luke and ask him how things were and kind of about the event. And he just had great things to say about you. He did have a little bit to say about his game that he wants to improve, but a tournament like that, that's something that you can build on, especially as a 16-year-old. But he said a few different things. He said you were a beast and you could just throw that disc. And the other thing that he admired was the fact that, and you can tell me how many discs you have, but he says you sport a bag, like a shoulder bag with maybe 7-8 discs in it. Is that what you carry on your rounds?
Well, I have had some like back issues in the last few years. And so usually I carry a cart. And even when I carry a cart, I don't carry that many discs. It's a pretty lightweight cart. But this course was so mountainous that it wasn't like that cart friendly for me. And so I did like go to my bag, but I didn't want to carry a lot of weight. So I have just a small little bag with backpack straps. I had 11 discs. Okay.
11. Okay.
All right.
Well, I was going to say with 11, yeah, that's a little better, because I was going to say if you were running 7 or 8 discs, I'd be so nervous in a course, as you're telling us, where you've got these tight hallways and then you're going to bounce in the trees. If you don't find one of those discs, that may be the only disc you have in the bag that can do that throw.
Yeah, luckily there wasn't a lot of underbrush. The course is really nice in that it's under a pines, and so the ground is just kind of like pine needles over sandy soil, and there was not a lot of brush to get your disc lost in.
Okay, that's a good thing then. Yeah.
All right. Well, because you've kind of had us on a roller coaster ride, or at least the two of us have. Is at first we heard all of the excitement about the White Horse tournament and the course and Larger Than Life, and we were like, get us a plane ticket for next year now. And then you started telling us about these super tight lines and bouncing off trees and being there, and I was like, oh well, maybe not, Daryl. And then now that we know that there's no underbrush and we're going to find our discs, I'm like, okay, well maybe we're back on
the plane again now.
Oh, it's beautiful country there. I mean, it's like we drove there, and obviously the drive was really nice through Alaska and Canada. And then once we got to Whitehorse, it was really nice as well. Like the course is like you go up and down hills and you go through the forest, and it is very nice. The front 9 is new. Like they put in a lot of those holes just recently, so they're still cleaning it up and it's getting beat in, but it's like such a nice landscape that it was great hanging out there.
Yeah, we spoke to Ryan earlier, and he said all the feedback, everybody was just so impressed. Everyone's so happy with the way that the tournament was run. The courses, the events, everything that was put on there. Never a bad word said back to him. So we can't wait to possibly head up there next year.
Yeah, for sure. Now we got to get to the real important issue now that we've talked a little bit about the tournament. And that was Daryl's laughing because I think you heard a little bit about it on the fantasy podcast there. But when we review players and we're looking at the tournaments they won and everything else, we'd seen before, my favorite title of a tournament was the Pork Pie Classic. I just kind of liked that one. I thought it was a good one that some of the guys had played in and won. But then I started to see there was a Moose Pretzel tournament. And then I saw that there was your nickname or your name on Instagram was Moose Pretzel, and I'm seeing Moose Pretzel everywhere. So we got to understand, what is Moose Pretzel? Tell us all about it.
So the Moose Pretzel is the private course that I built on my property. Okay, so I have 40 acres up here in Alaska, and I think we have 21 baskets now, and we have 4 different layouts, and we do a couple tournaments a year up here. And so the course is named the Moose Pretzel. And then we also have our Moose Pretzel Disc Golf Club, is like the local club here in Homer, Alaska. So that's what the Moose Pretzel is. And how we got that name is, obviously there's a lot of moose around here. This is kind of prime moose habitat, so they're roaming around all the time.
Right. Yep.
Then the first time we kind of laid out the course on a map and created a course map, it had like one big loop that came back in and then another loop that came back in. So it was the shape of a pretzel.
Right.
So we called it the Moose Pretzel. And people have been getting twisted up and lost and tied in knots ever since.
So is that having 40 acres out in Alaska in this pretzel-like course, have you gone out and had to save some people? Do you find that happens? They get on the course and they get turned around and not sure which way they're going, or have you got it pretty well laid out for them?
It's pretty well laid out now. We do have like one layout that goes through the course backwards, and we have lots of fun features. We've got elevated baskets and hanging baskets and island holes and triple mandos. So, it's a private course, so we get to do what we want out here.
That's it. You got a lot of time to experiment.
Yeah.
Well, and I looked when I saw where Homer is. It's kind of right on the coast or very close to the coast. Is it a place that the cruise ships stop at when they come through? Just in case, I'm also planning here if I go on vacation here, Daryl.
Okay.
We do have some cruise ships. The smaller cruise ships, I think, are able to come into Homer. The real big ones, I think our dock is not quite big enough for those. But we do have a lot of visitors here in the summer. Like this is a big fishing town, and then all types of Alaska tourism comes through Homer because we're right on the water.
Right.
Well, we looked at your PDGA history, and you play a lot of disc golf. I think last year we looked, and I think you played 35 events last year. And I think we looked and you've already got 13 events under your belt this year already. Now, there doesn't seem to be a lot of disc golf in Alaska. So do you travel a lot?
Well, there is actually becoming more and more events up here in Alaska.
Okay.
My partner in the Moose Pretzel Disc Golf Club, Patrick, he's the state coordinator, and he's been, helping other clubs around the state kind of coordinate a schedule. And we work with all the other disc golf communities around the state. And so we've got tournaments, maybe not every weekend in the summer, but probably every other weekend in the summer. And then my son and I do like to go traveling. We were down in Wisconsin earlier this year and played a few events down there.
Okay.
And we're going to go down to Illinois next month for the Ledgestone, and we're going to play Ledgestone next month.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I guess a little more on the Alaskan side of it. It looks like you guys are about 4 hours out of Anchorage. Is that where the next big club is, or do you have other clubs in between?
We've got some guys up in the Kenai Soldotna area. That's about kind of like halfway between here and Anchorage, and they've got courses there. And then, there's the Anchorage Club, and then there's kind of cities or communities around Anchorage that have their own club. And then there's another one up in Fairbanks and one down in Juneau. There's folks in Haines that have courses set up. So it's growing a lot more in the state. Like every kind of little town has their own course and their own club now, which is cool.
Yeah, that's great to see, because the one thing we knew was that things got big at COVID, and then it's great to see that maybe the growth isn't at that same pace, but the people who are in it are really in it. It's not flash in the pan at this point, is that the people who get in are sticking in it. They're people who are volunteering. They're people who are wanting to help build courses and be more than just straight players. And we really love seeing that. So it's good to know that that's the same case, it sounds like, up in Alaska right now.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. No, I've worked with the local communities in my town here. I mean, I have my private course, but we also put in a couple 9-hole like recreational courses at the parks in town. And then the golf course at the next town over also has baskets that they let us put in there. So we've got a few courses in the area that people can enjoy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Eden, we appreciate the time you've given us, but we'd like to take a moment here, usually towards the end of the conversation, to let you shout out any sponsors, or if there's anybody around town or anybody you wanted to throw a shout out to, this would be the time to do it.
First off, I want to say a big thanks to the Moose Pretzel Disc Golf Club and all of the local disc golfers here in Homer, Alaska, that make this happen. They're awesome, including my family. They support me, and so shout out to them. My disc sponsor is Legacy Discs. They sponsor myself and my son, so big thanks to Legacy. And my other shout out is to my son, Jai, for making the podium that larger than life. He got the 3rd place finish, so really proud of him for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, I think if there's any father-son doubles tournaments or anything else like that, you guys are probably going to go and cause some good damage at those courses. So I can't wait to see some more of that happening too.
That's right. Bring on the father-son competitions.
Fantastic. Well, Eden, it's been so great talking to you. If you'd end up getting down to Alberta, definitely look us up. We looking forward to hopefully meeting you in person sometime. And if we don't meet you down here, then hopefully Daryl and I are up in Whitehorse and we get to meet you next year.
That sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for your time, Eden.
And there you go, Daryl.
Yeah.
We do another episode here. We've got Ryan Norquay, Kristy Lee, and Edan Badajos. Man.
A-tier
royalty.
Royalty. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
So that's fantastic that we got that done. Great guests. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for all the extra listeners that we have in here, Bree and everyone else from up north there who's paying attention. We appreciate that. And, if you like what you're seeing and you want to see more of this, we encourage you to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, pay attention for all of those different things and all the social media stuff. Right, Daryl?
Absolutely. Find us on our socials. Chain Out Podcast everywhere except for Instagram, Chain Out _podcast.
That's right. And one of the things that we do have going on right now is we've got a subscriber contest. We're trying to get ourselves to 250 subscribers on YouTube. We're up to 203 the last time I checked.
204.
204. So we're getting our way there. We've got for that giveaway, what do we got? We got a hat, we got a practice bag, we got minis, we got stickers, koozies, we got a disc, and we talked about it was a KC Rock Cold Garden Cup, baby blue. And then what I didn't realize was I was putting it away after the last show. It glows in the dark as well.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And speaking about giveaways, Daryl, we got more giveaways.
We're just throwing stuff at you. Yeah, we got another giveaway.
Yeah.
We were kindly donated
From
Redhead Woodworking.
Yeah.
From Kevin Topping in the chat.
What he's done, and he gave us a couple of these to start when he first started working on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of leading this, I'm teasing it a bit, but he's gotten better and better each time he makes another one. And what we have for you, oh, that was what I wasn't supposed to do, was make a lot of noise, is we've got a chain out, if I go the right way, wooden mini. There you go. So it's got our logo on it. Thank you so much to Kevin Topping for making that. We'll put a post up on Instagram for you guys to like and follow and all that good stuff. And we will give that away to one of our listeners. So thank you so much, Kevin, for donating that.
Absolutely. I know like you said, Kevin gave us them in the beginning. So I've got one, you've got one.
Mm-hmm.
I know he was selling them at She's Up First. So quite a few people bought them there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there is still, I think we're probably under a dozen of them are out there right now. If once these ones get out.
Oh, the chain out ones?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you could be in the exclusive chain out wooden mini club with the rest of us.
Do we have to make a training video if we get It's not like Team Lysac, it's not like Team Chain Out?
No, yeah. What would that be? How to use the mini properly?
Yeah. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing right now as we continue on to the tail end of the episode here, guys, start thinking of the secret word. We want a secret word at the end. It always lets us know that you paid attention right to the end. We encourage that for sure. But let's get into the Edmonton Open tournament coming up this weekend, Daryl. So you've been practicing, getting ready for that. How has practice been going?
It's been going good. It's been going bad.
Oh,
yeah. No, it's I mean, that's part of the downside of playing so many tournaments this year that we never did last year, is that I haven't had a chance to get out to Bailey's and practice at all this year. I think the last time we played it was probably November last year.
Yeah, we played it a bunch in the fall last year.
Right. We had such a good winter. Yeah, so I've just been practicing in the last week. I'm excited. There's 2 new holes.
Oh.
Or an extension of hole 4, and then, hole 6.
Right.
And then a new hole 7 as well. And then I've heard that hole 8 is going away if people know Bailey's Crossing. So yeah, it's exciting. I went out there. Last time I was out there, the baskets weren't in place, but there is free practice on Friday. So I know a lot of people are going to be going out there trying to learn that new course and learn the new holes. So they should be in place by then.
Yeah. And if we want to tease it out there, we've had some response from our listeners who really enjoyed in our early episodes when we did some of the course reviews on the podcast. So next one we're going to do will be Bailey's Crossing. And so just stay tuned in the coming episodes for when we put that one out. And we'll give you kind of more of an in-depth hole by hole, maybe not really deep. We say it's never going to be that deep, but it ends up being a little bit deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
But some other things about this tournament is Bailey's last year was Bailey's Crossing. This year, as we said, it's sponsored by Sea Change, but they're also going to have Flatboy Burgers out at the event, vending and serving food. So that's going to be good. And it just kind of looks like an event that even if you're not playing, it's going to be a good one to go out and watch. And there's going to be a lot of things to participate in that aren't even part of being a player.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Calvin and Andrew have put a lot of focus on spectator involvement this year. Like you said, a lot of events happening outside of disc golf, and also, spectators are welcome to follow the MPO or any card they want to follow around the course as well. And then the famous hole 18 has the benches set up to be able to watch the approach shots into that hole 18 as well. So it's definitely a good spectator course as well, with it being so tight on certain parts of the course. There's definitely good viewing to be had as well.
Oh, for sure. And the one thing we realized from River City Cup there, watching the MPOs, and we followed them around and catching the FPOs, that was the first time we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. It was awesome. Now, we were recording and we were commentating on it, but just following around and watching some great players throw some great shots was an interesting thing. So if you're not playing, go out and, play around in the morning, go watch the MPO round and follow them around, or the FPO round, or FP40, MP40. Pick a card where you have somebody follow them around. It's a great time. Maybe you can caddy for somebody. That's always a good thing too.
Yeah.
So, but you know what else they've got going on
Mm-hmm.
is on the Friday night. As you said, during the day on Friday, you can practice, but into the evening, at 6:00 p.m., they've got what they're calling a birdie or die competition.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, they're taking holes 1 and 18.
Yeah.
And they're making a loop, and you're going to throw on those holes and see what your score is. And the people with the lowest scores, they continue on and they do it again. And I don't know if it's hole by hole or if it's the 2 holes combined.
I believe it's the 2 holes combined.
So you play
It's
1
the
and you
loop.
play 18.
Yeah. And then like you said, the lowest scores progress, and it'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. So that'll be interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And those are holes too, where somebody I know Tristan's not playing this year, but Tristan Piska has actually aced hole 1 at Bailey's. And then other people, you and I, we just try to stay in bounds on hole 18. So,
I thought you were going to say hole 1.
yeah, well, that too, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be a really cool event to watch. And because of the way those 2 holes are set up, you're going to be able to spectate it really nicely, right? Because one goes up the hill, the other one comes right back down the hill.
Yeah. Two complete opposite types of shots. One's uphill to the basket. The other one straight downhill, a little bit longer to 18, but yeah.
So they've got that. And then on the Saturday, what they do is they do what we're calling a bird bash this year.
Yeah.
Where there's some cutouts of geese, kind of like a chloroplast sign, and they're different sizes. And they put them out on hole 18 towards the basket. And then they have some of the pros go up and start throwing down at them. And what you do is you get a bunch of draw tickets and you get to put them behind the geese that you think are going to get hit.
Yeah.
And if that goose gets hit, then they will pull a ticket out of that basket behind it, and then you'll win a prize.
Right.
And that was hilarious last year. I loved watching it. The pros were somehow threading the needle between these things that seem very tight together. We were catcalling them and booing them, and that was just getting them that more amped up to throw more shots.
Go back and watch our episode with Casey Hannemeyer. He was one of the pros throwing there at that, and yeah, they were enjoying it. They were up on the tee box at 18. You mentioned that you were booing them and stuff like that. They were booing each other.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of those big names, there's going to be some big names at this tournament again. So if you've been paying attention to our show and you've been getting to know some of the bigger MPO names, both in Canada as a whole, but also locally in Edmonton, let's run through the list. It's just the who's who again of local area pros in that.
Yeah. So we've already mentioned Casey Hannemeyer. He's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Noah Higgins, Gabe Piska, Dylan Froelich, Riley Douglas, Sean Heidelberg, Amber Chason, Bailey Inglis.
And Bailey Wilson.
Bailey Wilson as well. Jerry M. Brownbridge, Kristen Swirls in the chat right now. Terry Hong and Zoe Loren Bozer will all be there.
Yeah, and more. Like if we could run through them all. These are the ones that we know we've talked to, have been guests on the show, and there's still a number of more that are probably right up there that we just haven't had a chance to meet yet.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great event. So I'm very excited for you. I'm hoping to get out there, and maybe Daryl will let me caddy for a round. If he won't, I'll be available to caddy for someone else. So I'm putting that out there. But I think Daryl's going to let me. Is it still kind of the jury?
We'll see how
out?
the rounds are going. Like you said, if it's going better and better, then maybe I don't want you to jinx me.
Gotcha. Yeah, you don't want me to come in on the last round and go, "Hey, everybody!
You should throw this one, throw that one. Get in your headset.
What are you doing with that one?" So that's the Edmonton Open. Get out there on the weekend. Good luck, Daryl, in the tournament. I know you're going to play well, and everybody else who's going to be out there as well.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have great tournaments in the Edmonton area. This is just another one of the ones that we get to go to and participate in. And if you want to volunteer, I'm sure they need volunteers, caddies. Yeah.
All right. So then the next thing we got is kind of how we cap off our shows with an update on the pros on the Disc Golf Pro Tour and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to whip through these ones. So
Wait, I should start putting a timer on the screen or something like that. See if we can do it in under a minute.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So I'm going to start off.
go for it.
Sofia Donica, she's heading to the European Open. She's thrown that onto the schedule and really excited to see what she does out there.
Yeah. Thomas Gilbert, he finished 45th at the Des Moines Challenge. 7-way tie with Aaron Gossage, Chandler Kramer, and a few more others as well. He made the cash line. We saw a post that Greg Barsby put out that they both met at the airport. And he's heading out to the Crow Call Open next.
Yeah. And then Chantal Badinsky, she was 15th at the Des Moines Challenge in a 4-way tie with Maria Oliva and others. She cashed, which was great, and she's heading to Ledgestone in August. So, hey, maybe Eden can get a chance to meet Chantal and Jai when they head down there.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll add some more local events in between then, but she's got nothing posted.
Yeah. Max Rajitnik, we've seen some posts from him on his social media that he's over touring around Europe right now, and he will be heading to the Crow Call Open as well.
Yeah, and speaking, I know we've said the Crow Call Open a number of times. I really like saying it. But the other thing I noticed was, did you see the posts? Is that one, the course looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, from what I understand, it's the #1 course in the world, or it was rated the #1 course in the world.
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah, so call me wrong if I'm wrong, but that's what I saw. So put it on the list. Another course we're going to.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you see in those comments there, Daryl? Do we have a secret word? Do we have any questions? What do we got?
We always call out the chat and we always call out people and things like this. So this, I'm going to call it out now. We're going to praise the person in the chat, because this person in the chat is the only person that ever puts in the secret word, that pays attention and puts them out. So thank you, Sonia. You put in, we got to go with DDC.
DDC. Yes. Double Discord.
For the double Discord.
Yeah, no, that works for me. I kind of had Moose Pretzel on my mind though, but I think
Moose Pretzel would be a good second. No one voted for Moose Pretzel, but you like Moose Pretzel.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that ever since the fantasy episode, but DDC is what was put out in the chat.
Yeah. So,
we've done it before. We can put them both together.
Yeah. Find a way to put DDC and Moose Pretzel into a comment. It just shows us that you're listening. We appreciate it. Everybody who's made it this far. It's amazing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah. So you're going to go out to the Edmonton. When we're in person, if we crack up, one of the things that everybody needs to know is if one of us makes the other one laugh, it's almost a guaranteed 5 minutes of trying to put it back together.
And it's hard because I know where you're going.
So Daryl's going to head out to the Edmonton Open there, and he is a big Castoplast fan. And he's probably going to get up on hole 18, and he's going to imagine that those geese are out there, and he's going to imagine that one of those geese is right behind the basket.
Right.
You're going to reach into your bag, probably because an amazing caddy suggests it and says, how about a Castoplast Falk? Because I think you've thrown that a few times before.
I have a Falk, yeah. I have it right behind me over there.
So I might say, Daryl, you should try the Castoplast Falk on there. And when you've got a caddy as amazing and as intelligent in discs as myself,
yeah,
you're going to step up on hole 18. You're going to look at that imaginary goose behind the basket. You're going to throw that disc. The hazard on the left, who cares? Hazard on the right, who cares? That disc is going to go downhill, drift to the right. It's going to go into the basket. And there's one thing that it will never do for you.
It won't?
It will not.
It would never.
It could not. It's never going to. Chain out!
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
I had all that time to line it up.
Yeah, we're still going to get our outro video. Here it comes.
Thanks, everybody.